Okay, sometimes you'll notice your ice maker starts leaking water down the sides of the doors and underneath the service door. And if you look up in here, you'll see right here, the black rubber nozzle is where the water comes in to fill up your ice maker. Sometimes this gets clogged up with ice and backfills, and then the water drips over and runs down. This is almost always caused by a failure in the ice maker circuit board, so we're going to show you how to replace that now. Our particular model number is shown here, but these ice makers are common on many different refrigerator freezer combinations. You're also going to want to make sure that your ice maker switch here is set to off. If you want, you can also shut off the water and unplug the fridge, but for this it's sufficient to shut off the ice maker. Also up here, you're going to see where my finger's pointing, there's a black little hose connection right here that will become clogged up with ice, and we're going to melt this out now to save us some trouble later. Now, just to let you know, this will take several minutes probably to adequately free this up and get all of the ice that is clogged up in here out. So I'm just gonna continue with the hairdryer and then I'll come back on. Okay, once you have this free enough, you'll see you can start to bend this. Even if there's still some ice up in here, like you can see, at least now it's free for the ice maker. So now we can work on getting that out. Okay, from underneath the ice maker in the back right corner here, you're going to see a 1/4 inch socket or bolt here. So I'm just going to use a 1/4 inch socket to remove that. All right, so now to slide the ice maker itself out, we are going to take off this door here, and to do that you'll see that underneath there's a hinge on each side, and so you can just gently flex and pop that door off like that. Now you can slide the ice maker out, assuming this is again free, and you have to close this to your side. Okay. Once that's down, you're going to see a plug here that we're going to have to disconnect. So to disconnect that, you just kind of bring this down, and there's a plastic piece here that'll slide back off, and here's your tabs that you squeeze, and then you just wiggle to disconnect the connector. And now your ice maker is free. Now with the ice maker out of the freezer here, you can see this cup is still clogged up with ice, so we're going to clear all this out. To access the control board, I'm just going to pull off this plastic cap on the left side. You'll see here, your control board is held in by 3 Phillips head screws. Once those 3 screws are out, you can just pull this board, slide this right out, and set it down flat so you know the orientation for when you put the replacement part in. Now here's the replacement part. I picked this up on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below to the part, but this is available from a number of sources for these ice makers. I think this is a common ice maker design for many different fridge and freezer combos. So as you can see here, the 2 boards are basically identical. You're going to want to make sure that the flat spot on the side of this knob is aligned with the flat spot on this end here when you insert the new control board. When you insert the new board, you'll also feel a little bit of resistance. You have several metal pins here that are going to connect to mated pieces on the control board itself, and there's some resistance as you push those in, and they basically wedge their way into these connectors. So with that lined up, feel to make sure the flat spot is connected on the ice cube ejector, and then push that board straight in like that. Now we can reconnect each of the 3 Phillips screws. Just be careful not to cross thread them. Okay, with these screws tightened, just give that one final check. Okay, then you can reattach the cover plate. All right, so we'll get this reconnected. Again, we have this plastic piece here, and the way that it was in there before was like this. It sits on the outside, and here's the hole where we're going to put that 1/4 inch bolt, and then we'll reattach the electrical connector. It will only go in one way. I'm going to push these shoulders down so that the female end of the connector stays in place in there. Slide this back in. Okay, when that's slid back in part way, now we'll reattach this plastic clip. You're going to want to make sure that that front piece goes in front. When it's in front, you shouldn't see the connector anymore. And from underneath, you'll see that it comes around and underneath over the hole where that 1/4 inch bolt's going to go in. And just make sure that the ice maker is pushed all the way back and that your water inlet is aligned over the top of the white plastic cup. And here from underneath, we'll insert that 1/4 inch bolt and get that started by hand. Make sure not to cross thread that, and tighten that with a socket wrench. We can reattach the service door. Again, slide it up and into the hinges until it's covered and it hinges properly. Now you can come back in to the fridge and turn your ice maker control back to on and close the freezer. Now you want to give it probably a good 20 minutes or so to cycle, and you should hear the water come on, fill up the ice cube tray, and a little while later dump the ice cubes into the ice cube catcher. And at that point you should know that it's working properly and that inlet tube isn't freezing over again. It should take probably overnight, maybe a good 24 hours to refill the entire container, but just keep an eye on it for a couple days and it should be working normally. If you want to speed things up on the fridge side, you can turn on the Accelerice 2 feature that should make the ice a little bit more quickly, but I don't really think that's necessary. Just let it fill normally. All right, so it's about 6 hours later now, and just to check on the status here, you can see that ice is forming and being released into the bin. So this will take a good day and a half to fill up. All right, here we are the next morning, and as you can see, the ice bin is about halfway full. So, all right, and here we are a day later, and the ice maker bin is full. So there you go. That's how you fix your ice maker. Thanks very much for watching. Just to note, these boards may only last you 4 or 5 years. This one I think is about 5 or 6 years for us, and is often the culprit for these ice makers. The other thing you could check is your water inlet valve. That's down in the back left corner by the freezer along the floor. That's another I guess, frequent problem that can cause these ice makers to malfunction. But what I found is if you've got leaking water because this is frozen up, that's not so much the water inlet valve problem as it is a problem with the control board not ejecting ice and triggering the flow to come back in to reset.